Adonai Yishmotzeischu v'yachol mi'atov Adonai. My friends, let's take some tzedakah coins, throw it in the pushka together, and since it's Friday, customary story. We're still in the Purim mode, so listen to a most unusual Purim story. It's told by the person himself, today grandfather from Yerushalayim, and it tells of his personal journey, which started when he was a young man in Yerushalayim, great student, Talmud Chacham, from a very prominent scholarly family in Yerushalayim. When they reached the age of marriage, a shidduch was proposed to him in New York. In 1950, traveling to New York was a major undertaking, but it was definitely a worthwhile shidduch from a prominent rabbinic family in New York. Chanukah 1950, they were engaged. Mazel tov. Unfortunately, the engagement didn't last, and by Pesach, the engagement was broken. Not only was the engagement broken, he says, but he was completely shattered and broken. A friend invited him to join him for a job in Cleveland. To just change ideas, he decided to join him, but he didn't realize how detrimental this would be. This friend, which outwardly looked like a religious boy, it turned out that it was just an outward facade, and in Cleveland the influence was such that the friend and he basically left all their religious lifestyle. The following year for Purim, he decided he's going to visit with his aunt and uncle in New York in Crown Heights. They didn't realize to what extent he's not practicing Judaism anymore because he put up a nice little facade. After the Sudas Purim, the evening, he decided to go out for some fresh air. He saw a few chassidim running, asked them, where you running, what's going on? Says, come join us, we're going to a Farbrengen of the Rebbe. What's a Farbrengen? Join us and you'll find out. I was intrigued, I joined. I came into a room in 770 Eastern Parkway, about 200 people in a small, relatively small room, jam-packed, and I was squeezed amongst all those chassidim, and I'm listening to what I then realized was the Rebbe saying. And the Rebbe was saying that Purim is a time of self-sacrifice. And on this day, the soul of every Jew is revealed, even more so than on Yom Kippur. And therefore, Purim can never be nullified. I suddenly felt myself shivering, turning pale. And I had a feeling that the Rebbe is speaking to me. And he continued that the evil inclination is an expert at its trait. In the beginning, it comes to a young man and pulls him away from his yeshiva studies for a holy reason. Afterwards, it succeeded in influencing him to go out in the wide world and look for work. And then it tells him that America is different from all the other countries, and it is proper to conform one's garments and external appearance to look as thoroughly American as possible. And then the Rebbe continues, says, comes Purim, a day of self-sacrifice, and the Jewish soul is awakened within him. So much so that a person decides to be strong, and especially when one comes from the Holy Land and from Jerusalem, the holy city, where Purim is celebrated on the 15th day of the month of Adar. Tonight being the 15th day, it has a special power for this individual. Then I noticed the Rebbe was looking directly at me, and he's signaling at me to say L'chaim. Someone handed me a small cup of whiskey, and the Rebbe signaled to him, give me a big cup. He filled the cup, and I tried to explain I cannot drink, and the Rebbe insisted, drink. I finished the whole cup, and the Rebbe said, a second cup. I had no choice, and I finished it. And honestly, I don't remember what happened after that. All I know is that late the next morning, I woke up extremely thirsty with a pounding headache, lying on the bench in 770 with a number of other Chassidim sleeping on adjacent benches. My fancy suit was no more fancy, but my soul became fancy. That morning I stood up to pray. I put on that film, which is something I haven't done for a while. And I felt myself a changed person. I cried in my prayers as I've never cried ever before. And I reverted to my previous original lifestyle. It's only many years later I was finally able to say a heartfelt thank you to the Rebbe for what he did for me and the positive way my life turned out, thanks to him.